Okay, so I was gonna make this video a little later, but then I realized I could probably just buff this out in maybe 5 minutes. So this video is basically the idea of perfection. And how do I explain this? Perfection is something everybody strives for. It doesn't matter whether it's art or appearance, right? Perfection is something everybody wants, right? So in the idea of perfection, where do we go and how do we scale perfection, right? What I mean by that is people search for perfection, right, for themselves in, let's say, art, right? A lot of media and art and forms like that have millions of people just looking for that perfect, just that sliver of perfection in their own art for themselves, right? And in that, I think impurities in art are what make it perfect. See, for me, what defines perfect for me is what makes it relatable. If a painting has flaws in it, right, but it has a genuine message. See, older paintings have a story written within them. I'll put one up here, right? They have a story within them. Newer paintings nowadays, they obviously don't have that. But what I mean is, older paintings from maybe like the 18th century, little older than that, have genuine story to it. It's not just a picture of something, There's genuine things going on. There's a few paintings I'm thinking of. The Jester, that's sad, sitting down. There's a bunch of other paintings. I can't really list them off. But what I mean is, what defines perfection? I think a good representation of that is Father Pucci from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is honestly pretty funny. But the reason I bring it up is because his idea of perfection is flawed. See, what makes perfection perfect, or what makes impurities in perfection perfect, are the fact that they're human mistakes. See, in Pucci's ideal world, everything bad that can happen, you know it in advance. If you can go and know what would happen, right? Would that be perfection? Would that really be heaven? See, the reason I bring this up is because Pucci's main goal is the same thing he goes against. The idea of knowing what is going to happen and choose to not do it, it's almost like not having free will. But in Pucci's ideal world, and basically because he's a chapelman, right? He wants to basically take away free will. See, the reason that it was gnawing at me is because the idea of free will, in technically the Bible terms, I'm going to get in that right now. The idea of free will, the idea of letting things happen and letting things go however, is the same reason God lets you choose him, in a way. I'm not preaching, by the way. But what I'm saying is in the Bible, God gives us free will, basically, so we can openly choose him, accept him into our hearts, right? Pucci, in a way, doesn't want free will. See, his ideation comes from the fact that there's war, murder, all these different crimes. So if you were to take away the factor of improbability, right, you can essentially take away free will. I don't know if this is coming off the right way. It sounded a lot better in my head, but if I could take away the idea of free will and, in a way, I guess, alter it so where you know what's going to happen tomorrow to you and I know what I'm going to do tomorrow, would it be easier to accept that as free will? No. So what I'm saying is Pucci is kind of a hypocrite because what he wants doesn't really allow for free will. What am I getting at? It's like, it's on the tip of my tongue. If I gave you, right, let's say I gave you a paper clip, right, and you set it down with your right hand, correct? Assuming I went back in time and I gave you that paper clip again, would you set it with the same hand? But basically, I was gnawing at it at work, and I was thinking that he's kind of a hypocrite because he's taking away free will. His idea of heaven is flawed in the sense that you wouldn't really choose to get there. You would kind of be coerced or forced into going or getting in there. So, in a way, I think the idea that Pucci's perpetuating through the entire part is wrong because it doesn't exactly let free will go. The idea of heaven is that you choose it, and his idea of heaven is to kind of force it on everybody. True happiness to be forced on everybody. So in a way, what I'm saying is, and say with me now, is that Pucci's ideation is flawed, very flawed, because he's taking away the idea of free will. If I took your idea of free will, would you care? So, like, you would obviously be mad, but you would also feel trapped. Like, oh, well, I'm forced to do it. What's the point? And in that is why I'm saying his idea of happiness and heaven are completely flawed. See, the idea, well, I've already explained the idea of heaven, but that is why I think he's flawed. So, in the meaning of perfection, the imperfection or the impurities in perfection in this case would be the flaws, the crime, genuinely bad things. The idea to choose something or the idea to choose to move forward with something is perfect in a sense. So when people strive towards a perfect world, perfect art, the thing that makes it perfect are the flaws that it has because it's relatable in a way. I don't know if this is going to come off good or if I'm going to just come off as I'm rambling, but the reason I say it like that is because in a way, striving for perfection is something people do all the time, and a lot of people just don't they need to feel that it's perfect. And in that way, I think we can often strive off to our original path when looking for perfection. We can find other things that are just impurities. We start nitpicking and breaking it all down, and eventually we lose what we wanted to go for in the first place. So what I mean by the end of this video, which I've been rambling on for the past 8 minutes at this point, is that the impurities in anything, right? Let's think. A good example. There's a bunch of impurities in a bunch of things. Shit. I'm drawing blanks, but I believe the impurities in certain art, certain media that is great, makes it more relatable and more human. And especially nowadays with AI, everything's like not substantially, everything is visually perfect, right? There's no more human error in a lot of things. So in art specifically, where there are mistakes, there are people striving for just a lick of perfection, it makes it more perfect in a way. See, I've never been a fan of like AI taking over art or anything, right? Or just in general. But the thing AI can't replicate is the mistakes that come with, human input. And those mistakes ultimately, bring forth more art, more meaning to the piece. So, yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. And that's why, even now, this video isn't perfect. I'm just rambling for about, 10 minutes now? But what I mean is that the idea of perfection is only perfect when it's relatable, there's flaws in it, and you understand that, hey, this is a step for perfection. And